Let's talk about forms in Sigma. Sigma offers a form element, which is a really quick and easy out-of-the-box solution for creating forms. But there might be additional business needs not met by this out-of-the-box solution. Think about things like dependent questions and branching logic. In this video, we will discuss how to create a form using controls and tabbed containers that will allow for this flexibility in our forms. Let's talk about Sigma's form element. Let's say we want to send a form to our new employees to capture basic information like name, department, start date, and how they found the role. I've created an input table here that collects this information, and some of the columns are sourced from existing data, such as department, using the departments from the department table as the options. Creating a form is as easy as selecting the child element icon and selecting form. Sigma creates a form using the columns from our input table, including the options available like we saw for department. We can change the format of the questions in the right panel, such as changing a drop-down to radio groups, making the question required, and more. Lastly, the submit button is already configured for us. We can see that pressing submit inserts a row into our input table. This is a very simple solution. However, we might not have some of the flexibility that we need. For example, when we select a department, we want our manager list to only reflect managers in that department. Additionally, we want the last question to only appear when the user selects other as how they found the role so that they can provide additional information. Otherwise, we don't need that additional information. We're going to use controls and tabbed containers to create a custom form that will give us this flexibility. Let's start with a blank page for our custom form. First, we're going to add a control for every question. We'll add a text control to input our name. We'll add a list values control to select the department, and we want to make sure we turn off multiple selections so the user can only select one department. We'll do the same thing for our manager, and we'll turn off multiple selection, and we'll rename this to manager. Next, we're going to add a date control to capture the start date. We're going to add another list values to select how they found the role. So let's create a manual list, internally, internet search, LinkedIn, Indeed, other, and we need to turn off multiple selection. And lastly, we'll add a text input for if they selected other. We can rename this control as well. Now we need to create a submit button. So we'll press button, we'll put it at the bottom, and we're going to change this to submit and add an action to insert a row into our input table. If you have more than one input table in your workbook, make sure you've selected the correct one, and then double check that all of the columns are mapping correctly. And they are. Let's add another action to clear our form. We'll select clear control, and we're going to select all the controls on this page. Awesome. So now we have our basic form that we created from scratch. Now to address some of our previous concerns, let's start with department and manager. In order to only see managers for the selected department, I'm going to click on the department control, select targets, and I'm going to target my employee details table. Notice when no department is selected, I can see all the managers, and when I select a department, I can see only the managers in that department, which is exactly what we want. To make sure that this always works, we're going to click on department and add an action, which says that anytime this control changes, we're going to clear the manager control. This ensures that, let's say we select a manager under people, and then I actually change to product, that manager clears out. So now I see only the managers from the product team. Now let's move on to how we found the role and how we're going to have this question only appear when we select other. We're going to do this with a tabbed container. We're going to go to layout and insert a tabbed container, and we need two tabs, a blank tab and an other tab. And we can delete this third tab. I'm going to jump into formatting here and turn off the padding and remove our background color. Let's drag our question into the other tab. Now I have a blank tab with nothing in it and an other tab with the question that we want the user to answer if they select other. Now we're going to click on our found role control and set up actions to switch the tabs when we need them to. We're going to add a condition that when this control is equal to other, then we are going to select container tab, other. We're going to add one more action sequence that says if our control is null, or if our control is not equal to other, then we want to select the container tab of our tabbed container that's blank. Let's see this in action. Let's say I select internally, then I get the blank tab. If I select other, I get the other tab. And if I clear the control, I'm back to the blank tab. Perfect. It's working how we expect. So we can go ahead and turn off show tab bar. Now this form is doing exactly what we need it to do. And even though our blank tab has this note, you won't be able to see that in the published version. Using targeted controls and tabbed containers can be really powerful to create a complex form. Let's look at an example. We have a very complete and robust onboarding form now, where we can see what hardware and software the new employee needs. We'll input a start date, and notice that when we select internal or external for how we heard about the role, we get different questions. Let's say I'm transferring from operations. We'll press next. Another trick that you can use with tabbed containers is making a note for when the user hasn't filled out all the fields. Notice I haven't answered the where will you be working question, and when I press next, I have a tabbed container that flips from blank to show me a warning message. Now when I press at home and I select what I need, that message will go away. Here, when I select a department, I get a list of software that I'll need. Based on that selected department, I can then select my manager based on that department and make any additional software requests I might need. And lastly, is there anything else that we need to tell them to get us set up? There's not, so I'm going to press submit. And you can see it inserted into our data. So we've inserted this last row here, and we've gone back to the beginning of the survey. As you can see with these new tools in your tool belt, you can build really complex and flexible forms for all of your business needs. Try it out.